Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Lifestyle CEO Show. I'm your host, Donna Maria Coles-Johnson, the original Lifestyle CEO, and you are here where we empower you to break all the rules, build your own corporate ladder, and create the life you love. I have got to tell you, I am so excited coming off of the first Lifestyle CEO conference just this past weekend in suburban Washington, D.C. We had entrepreneur mothers from all over the country at our conference, learning from each other, inspiring each other. Our keynote speaker, Lisa Price from Carol's Daughter in New York City, knocked everyone's socks off with her message of from bankruptcy to multi-million-dollar company. We had a fantastic dynamic panel discussion moderated by a professional actress. We just had a wonderful time at the conference. If you weren't able to make it, you've got to visit lifestyleceo.com later on today, where we're going to have a bunch of photographs. You'll feel like you were there. And to those of you who are listening that were at the conference, it was great to meet you, and we are off to a great start. And I'll be looking forward to catching up with all of you to get your business action models in place so you can turn your passion into profit and move forward with your business ideas. Today we have a wonderful and very exciting guest, and I know you all are just as excited as I am to meet her. I would like to introduce to you Julie Agner-Clark, the founder of the Baby Einstein Company. Julie founded the company Baby Einstein in 1997 when her goal was to provide a fun and entertaining medium for her daughter, who was newborn, and Julie was a stay-at-home mom and a former teacher, and she created some videos in her home using borrowed equipment just to entertain her daughter, because there really wasn't anything out there that a child her daughter's age could really get into. Well, I got to tell you, I've got my own slew of Baby Einstein videos here, and I know that how wonderful they are personally. Julie is the recipient of Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year Award, as well as Working Mother's Entrepreneur of the Year Award. In 2003, she received the Distinguished Alumni Award from the College of Arts and Letters at Michigan State University. Today, Julie spends her time developing new and exciting brands, among them the Safe Side videos, which are designed to help parents teach their children simple and engaging ways to discuss the subject of safety with young children. And those are developed and produced in conjunction with John Walsh, the founder and host of America's Most Wanted. There is so much more I could say about Julie, but then I wouldn't have time to let you guys call in and ask her questions. So I'll stop there and welcome Julie Clark to the Lifestyle CEO Show.
Thank you so much, Donna Maria. It's really great to be here and exciting to talk to other moms. So
well, yes, and we are so excited to have you. And, of course, the Baby Einstein Company has been sold, I guess, was that 2002, Julie, that it was sold?
2001, yeah, 2001, actually.
2001 to Disney for an undisclosed sum of a lot of Disney dollars. And so, of course, you know, belated congratulations. Of course, the videos have gone on to generate millions and millions of dollars in revenue and just lots of happy young children and their parents around the world. So thank you, Julie, for coming up with that idea. Now take us back to when you did come up with that idea. You had a new baby girl, right?
Yep, I sure did. I had a daughter, and like a lot of moms out there, I was really, really excited to be a new mom, and I wanted to do all that I could to kind of stimulate her and keep her happy and make sure that she was, you know, getting all the right kind of stimulation. And in the course of being a mommy, I started to realize that what I really wanted for her, along with all the other things I was doing for her, like, you know, going outside and taking great walks and going to museums and all those things,
right,
I really wanted to find a way to expose her to the things that I loved. And these were things I used to teach. I used to teach art and poetry and literature, and these were things that I loved, and I couldn't find a great source that would help me teach her and expose her to those things. And so I also realized that there were just no videos for babies. There was nothing out there that was available for me to be able to sit down with my child in my lap and watch something on television together. And so I thought, well, gosh, you know, this should be simple. I mean, I think I could make something like this because I know what my baby likes to look at, and I think I could take all those things and put them on a video and get going. And so somehow or other, in the course of being a new mom and changing all those diapers and being exhausted and not getting good sleep and all that stuff, I was able to pull together a video on borrowed video equipment with help from my husband, edited that video on our home computer, and kind of got going from there.
Okay, now that is an extraordinary story, and I'm thinking about all the women who are listening to this show who have some kind of desire, whatever it may be, and you expressed yours so succinctly, and all of us, especially new moms, we have certain desires in our lives, and no matter what they are, you can take them and create something, and your story is so incredible because it's so simple.
Well, it was, and I'll have to tell you, the funny thing is that down the road, as I became more successful with the company and people really started to recognize this as a significant brand in the marketplace and a new medium, which was this video for babies concept, I started hearing from a lot of people who were actually filmmakers and who had studied video making in college and who knew a lot about how to produce and direct videos. And what I heard from all of these people was, gosh, I sit down and I watch those videos and they're so simple. I would never have thought to make something like that. And that was the funniest thing. And I think that the reason that Baby Einstein was successful was that I was approaching it from a very different standpoint. I never approached Baby Einstein from a perspective of a filmmaker who wanted to make a lot of money. I was making a video that I wanted my baby to watch and to listen from and to be stimulated by and to learn from and to help her engage with things that I loved. And it was really driven from and driven by and made from this passion that I had for my own child. So I was able to look at video in a very different way. All I did was say, what does my baby like looking at? And I put those things on video. And I didn't spend a lot of time doing research and trying to figure out what all babies were doing. I just did what made sense to me, and that was incredibly simple and turned out to be incredibly successful. And I think that that's in part because babies are pretty simple. They don't need a lot of, we don't need to spend a lot of time figuring out what babies like to look at. All you need to do is look at your baby and see what makes them smile, because babies don't lie. Babies either laugh or they cry. They're happy or they're not happy.
Right.
And so I was able to put together all of these images that babies liked to look at and that made them smile, and that was pretty simple.
Well, it makes me think about the fact that around the mid-'90s, early 90s, there was a lot of talk in the media and in different studies about the benefits of letting your child, while he or she is in utero, actually listen to classical music in the womb. And then, of course, there's, the later videos and materials that help us with our children, right around the time they're learning how to talk.
Right.
And so what you found was, by accident almost, a gap in what was out there.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that the classical music studies hadn't really been widely published yet at the time that I created Baby Einstein. But I will say that I was tremendously lucky, along with, working really hard. I had really great timing and really great luck on my side, because after I launched the first video, which was called Baby Einstein, and it was looking like it was being, widely accepted in the marketplace and parents were loving it, I was approached by the company that was selling it, The Right Start, and they said, you need to make something else. Please make another video. So I thought, okay, well, what should I do? I guess I'll make one that exposes children to Mozart, because Mozart was my favorite composer, and I know I loved listening to Mozart with my own child. So I made Baby Mozart, and I released it in February of 1998. And unbelievably, about a week after that video was on the shelf, all kinds of research was published about how listening to Mozart was good for you. And it was great for you. And I mean, it was completely a mistake on my part. I mean, a wonderful mistake. It was just that I happened to have done Mozart, and now people were writing about how great it was to listen to Mozart. So I had a video called Baby Mozart, which of course flew off the shelves because of all of this research that was coming out that I had no idea of. I wasn't aware it was coming, but it was wonderful and very, very lucky on my part. So it was great.
It's wonderful of you to share that, because one of the things we talked about at the conference this past weekend was the importance of just showing up, the importance of taking whatever your passion is or whatever you're interested in, whatever you're creating, and putting it out there. Because if timing is a part of the success story, then you can't control that. And if you're not there, then you won't have the good timing.
Exactly. And I can't tell you. I was having lunch with a friend yesterday who was telling me about this idea that she had and for a new product. And, she's had it for a couple of years and this and that and this and that. But she hasn't done anything with it. And I'm thinking, that's so great that you've got this idea, but guess what? your idea, you might as well not even have it if you aren't going to now take it to the next step. You have to keep moving forward. Pardon me?
How did she respond to that? I'm curious to know what she said.
I've just been so busy, and I've got the kids, and, it's hard, and I don't really know what to do, and I'm not sure, what I should do next. And, I have to tell you, there's a fantastic book available. It's the Mom Inventor's Handbook.
Yes, Tamara.
Do you know of it? Tamara, yeah. Do you know Tamara?
She was a guest on the show a couple weeks ago.
Oh, fantastic. Her book is wonderful, and it's a great way to just try to figure out if your idea is really viable, what you need to do next. Just because I think that a lot of women who aren't in business, and that was certainly me not too long ago, don't really know what to do. Okay, so I've got this idea. What do I do next? Do I need to get a trademark? Do I need to get a patent? How do I get a prototype for my product? How do I find out if it's already available out there? And all of those questions are answered in Tamara's book, and it's fantastic. So I highly recommend it. I'm glad you had her on the show. That's great.
Yeah, we did, and that is a really good book. For those of you who want to go check out the show with Tamara, you can go to globaltalkradio.com and click on Lifestyle CEO and just scroll down the shows and click on the one for her, and you can listen to it. And we had a great conversation with her. Julie, we're coming up on our first break. Your conversation with your friend makes me think she would have been a wonderful person to attend the Lifestyle CEO conference this past weekend. We talked about that. But we are going to take a little bit of a break and just come back in a couple of minutes, and we're going to talk with Julie about some of the nuts and bolts of how she got her business started. You're at the Lifestyle CEO Show. Don't touch that mouse. We'll be right back.
Why is everyone listening to globaltalkradio.com? Because it's the future of talk radio. Every day, more and more people are finding Internet radio as not just an alternative media, but as a replacement to traditional AM and FM broadcast stations. Internet radio offers a wider variety of programs, convenient on-demand listening that meets your schedule, and fewer commercial interruptions. And globaltalkradio.com is already leading the way by matching this content with a highly targeted Internet audience. globaltalkradio.com offers its listeners one of the widest programming varieties on the Internet, from business and finance to self-improvement, paranormal, health, literature, romance, politics, and more. There are also opportunities for prospective hosts who would like to host their own weekly or one-time talk shows. Want to learn more? Check us out at www.globaltalkradio.com and see the future of talk radio today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lifestyle CEO Show. I'm here with Julie Clark, the founder of Baby Einstein and the co-producer of a series of videos called The Safe Side, which she created with John Walsh, the host of America's Most Wanted. These, actually, they're not videos. They're DVDs, and I have actually watched them with my husband, and we're going to introduce these to our children here coming up. These videos are great to show parents how to provide simple and engaging ways to discuss the issue of safety with their children. And Julie, great job on these videos. I love, by the way, who is the stranger? What is her name, the character?
Safe Side Super Chick.
Super Chick, yes. And she wears a green hat when it's a green shirt when it's safe, a yellow hat to be cautious, a yellow shirt to be cautious, and a red one to just,
if there's danger.
Right.
Yeah.
How easy is that for kids?
Exactly.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks.
We're going to go back a little bit because I know a lot of our listeners and lifestyle CEOs out there, they have a new idea and they're trying to figure out what in the world to do next. And, of course, everyone's story is different. But, Julie, after you made that first one or two videos, what did you do that kind of led you to think, I got to get these out of my basement?
Well, it was a lot of work. And I think that the more work you put into something, along with the more investment you put into something, the more aware you are that now, okay, I've done all this work. Now I'd really like to get it out there and see if people are going to respond to it. So I think that once you get going with an idea, it becomes easier to really get moving. You know, I think that the first step is always the hardest one. To actually get that first video shot was hard. To sit down and figure out what I was going to put on it and buy the kind of toys that I needed to get on that video, that was hard. But then once I had all that done, I thought, okay, now I've got to get this out. I've got to get this in the hands of people who can also enjoy it with their children. And how do I do that? So, not knowing anything about business or sales or marketing, I started sending my video off to a variety of places. I found the Toys R Us headquarters, and I sent one to them, and I found, you know, all these toy catalogs that I bought things from, and I sent one to them, and of course I heard nothing. It was just dead silence, because that's not really how you do it.
Right.
If they've never heard you, they really don't really want to look at your stuff, so you need to get a start. And what I found worked great for me, what I did and what I always recommend to people now, is I found a trade show that was a good place for me to go and show a video. So I went to the International Toy Fair, which is in New York every year. It's in New York City. It's an enormous trade show. I'd never been to a trade show in my life. I had no idea what to expect. And I actually couldn't even afford a booth there. It's very expensive. You know, you have to set up a little 10 by 10 space may cost you $10,000, and I didn't have that kind of money. So I decided I would just go to Toy Fair with my video in my hand, and I would walk around and I would look for buyers from a particular store. I had a goal, and my goal was I wanted a buyer from the Right Start, which was at the time a very, very successful chain of baby stores, and they had a huge catalog and big catalog distribution. It was where I shopped for my baby. And I knew that they would be a good market for my product because they tended to sell to more upscale consumers, lots of stay-at-home moms, and this was a product that was meant for mom and child to sit together, or dad and child to sit together and watch, and it was called Baby Einstein, and so the implication was that it was, you know, it had something to do with intelligence, and so I felt that this would be a good market for me, and I went to that toy fair, and I got in, and I had my video in hand, and I walked around for 2 days, literally, just looking at name tags of people walking by me until I found somebody with a Right Start name tag.
Oh, my goodness.
And I raced up to that woman. There was actually a group of women. I think I almost knocked her down. I probably scared her to death. But I said, you really need to watch this video. It's perfect for your store, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I had such passion about what I had created, and I think that she really recognized that passion and probably was also terrified because this crazy lady was running up to her and throwing a video at her.
Did you have your red T-shirt on?
Exactly. So I got her to take the video, and I got it in her hands. Well, a couple of weeks went by, and I didn't hear anything, so I called. I found the Right Start headquarters, called them up. I said, all I knew was her first name. I said, I'd like to speak with Kathy. Got her on the phone, and I said, hey, you know, remember me? I was at Toy Fair. You loved my video. I'm trying to put all these, you know, ideas into her head about how much she loved this thing that she'd never seen before. Right. And that call made a big difference because she had a stack of stuff on her desk from Toy Fair, and there I was on the phone, and she pulled mine out, and she watched it that weekend with the baby. Baby loved it, and she called me the next week and said, you know, we're going to try it. We're going to test it. We've never had a video in our stores. We've never even seen a baby video before, and let alone one that, you know, exposes kids to foreign languages, for God's sake. But my nephew liked it, and I'm going to try it. And the video flew off shelves, and it had a great name. So
yes, it does have a great name.
I think what happened is, you know, moms went into the store. They saw, I wonder what this thing is. It's new. It's different. It's a video. I've never seen a video for my baby, and it's called Baby Einstein. That, to me, says it's going to be good for my child, so I'm going to try it. And when people tried it, babies loved it. And then it was just all up the hill from there because I had a product that worked. And if your product works, then, you know, people are going to tell other people. And then it really became word of mouth, and it was fantastic.
And that's what's most powerful, too. Hey, Julie, did you have a fear that if they purchased a certain number that how did you decide you were going to put this into production? Did you have people all lined up and ready to duplicate these for you? Or was it like, oh, my goodness, now we have an order for 3,000, hun, let's stay up late tonight and find somebody to make these for us? No,
I mean, what happened is I manufactured maybe 100 videos. When I had my first video ready to go, I manufactured, say, 100 videos. And then when the Right Start called and said, we'd like to order 10 per store, which brings us to 300 videos. Videos are really easy to manufacture.
Okay.
So that's something that I will say has been really easy for me versus a lot of women who I talk to who have fantastic ideas, but there are a lot of parts involved, and some things are made in China, and you've got safety hazards, and you've got lots and lots of things to think about that I didn't have to think about. My medium was really easy. I had videos, and then later I had books, which again was simply a matter of duplication. It was easy. It was paper, you know. And then when it was CDs, audio CDs, same thing. You just press CDs. It's very easy to do.
And all you really have to do is come up with the jacket or the cover for it.
Exactly. So once you've got the cover, that again, then it's just, you know, simple manufacturing.
Right. And
that
so
part was easy.
The name, you talked about how the name was such a significant part of what helped parents sort of connect to what this product that they'd never heard of could do for their children. Did you think of that name with that in mind, or was it just a name you came up with that you thought was really nice?
You know, I wish I had a great story behind the name, but I honestly don't. I sat down at my kitchen table and I thought, okay, I'm making a video. It's for babies, so baby should be in the title.
Right.
And, you know, and again, no background in marketing or advertising whatsoever. And I want it to be, you know, I know it's going to be good for babies, so who was like a person maybe that was really, you know, a smart person? And, okay, how about Baby Einstein? And it was really funny at the time because my husband, who's a physics major, said, I don't know if we should call it Baby Einstein because, you know, Einstein was like a physicist and that really doesn't have anything to do with this video. And I said, no, trust me, let's do Baby Einstein. And it was a wonderful decision. So, and the same is true with the Safe Side. I mean, when I came up with the name The Safe Side for our new company, which is all geared toward child safety products, the Safe Side was perfect. It's a phrase that we use over and over again, just to stay on the safe side. I say to my kids all the time, you know, to be on the safe side, you know, pack a pair of mittens. You know, you say it all the time. It's a very common phrase, and it's very clear that it has something to do with safety and being smart. And so that was a really good choice as well. But of course, all of these things you need to, when you come up with a great name, you need to make sure that nobody else is using that name. So important to do those trademark searches.
And you got lucky on that end, is that right?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I got sort of lucky. I mean, to backtrack a little bit, I did find out about a year and a half into the course of running the Baby Einstein company that the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, which is a wonderful university, actually owns the rights to Albert Einstein's name. Because they own his papers. He left his papers to them upon his death. And so we had a little glitch and some legal issues to battle. That was really as a result of my not doing my homework ahead of time. But I will say that I'm actually glad I didn't do my homework ahead of time in that case, because if I had, I would never have called my company Baby Einstein.
Right. You know, it's such a catch-22.
It is.
We talked about it at length at the conference, and it's one of the things that I work with people on, and it is a real catch-22 because if you look stuff up too much, you'll never find a name.
Yeah, that's
true. But if you don't, you risk having, you know, spending, you know, hundreds of thousands of investment dollars in
or millions
branding and stuff, and then you don't own it.
Right, exactly.
So I always tell people, and I don't know, maybe you would agree with this, you know, come up with like a quirky, unique, fanciful, arbitrary name, do a Google search, go to the trademark office and do a search on the search engine, and if it's not there, you can't guarantee it, but chances are pretty good. And if it's a .com, if it's available as a .com,
right,
the chances are pretty good that, you know, you don't have to worry too much.
That's true, and it is important though. And I mean, then as you look at trademarks, you know, you can always sometimes you can get a category that isn't registered. So, for example, you know, maybe the Safe Side is registered for an alarm company, which it is. There is a company called Safe Side that does alarms for homes, but that's very different from making videos that have to do with safety. So you can get a registration in a different class of services and goods, and that's how it worked out for us.
Right. That is so interesting. And so you're in the Right Start. And then you sell them 300 videos, and then they run out really fast. What did you do? Did you get another order from them?
I did. I got another order almost immediately, which was fantastic. And, you know, the orders just kept coming and coming and coming, and word of mouth was spreading like mad. And, of course, it's great to have a product it was great to have a successful product that was for children because there is no more wonderful group of people to pass the word on to other people than moms.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a baby, for example, that's teething, and your baby's 8 months old, and they're teething, and you pop in Baby Mozart and they stop crying, you have another friend who's got an 8-month-old baby who's teething. You go, oh, guess what? Go get Baby Mozart, because when I put it in, my baby stops crying. Your friend is going to go, okay, I'll spend $900 to make my baby stop crying. Where can I get it? And how soon? So I think that word of mouth was fantastic for me, and we found the same thing with the Safe Side, because people are watching it. They're going, oh, my gosh, never knew how to talk to my child about this before. Now I've got this wonderful tool to do it. And they go and tell all their friends, or they take it to school and they share it with all the children in the classroom. And it's been, fantastic. So I would say that if you have a good product, you can pretty much guarantee that people are going to tell other people about it. And that's wonderful.
Very powerful marketing.
Yeah.
We are coming up on our second break, Julie, so we're going to take that right now. I want to remind our listeners that if you'd like to call your question or comment in personally to Julie, you can at 800-773-0355. That's 800-773-0355. And Julie has been there and done that. And if you have any question about trying to go there and do that yourself, she's the lady to talk to. This is the Lifestyle CEO Show. I'm your host, Donna Maria, and we'll be right back.
Want to stay on top of what's new in the radio industry? Sign up for a free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio, available exclusively to listeners of globaltalkradio.com, and find out what's new in the world of online radio. Listeners can find out about new shows and special guests. People with something special to offer can find out how to become a guest and how to prepare for an interview. And prospective hosts will find a valuable resource for everything from planning the new program to selecting topics and guests, recouping expenses by selling advertising, and more. Sign up today for your free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio by visiting www.globaltalkradio.com and learn about the future of talk radio today.
All right, everyone. We are back at the Lifestyle CEO Show, where we empower you to break all the rules, build your own corporate ladder, and create the life you love. And our guest today, Julie Clark, founder of Baby Einstein and co-producer of the Safe Side CD series, Safety Videos for Children, has done just that. And we've been talking about sort of the nuts and bolts of actually going from making a video for her daughter in the basement of their home to actually selling them in catalogs and doing trade shows to actually increase the distribution and build the brand nationwide. And Julie, what I'd like to ask you some questions about now is, what is it like in your family life when you go from making videos in the basement and having a newborn, a young child, to having orders from all over the country? And your company started in, I think it was 97, and 5 years later it was sold to Disney. So in between there was tremendous growth.
Oh, there was. It was remarkable. It was, gosh, I can't remember the percentage, but it was incredible. I mean, we went from, our first year we did $100,000 in sales, and 5 years later, the year that we sold to the Walt Disney Company, we did over $20 million in sales.
But you mean literally the first year, from the time you went to the trade show and Kathy, bless her heart, 300 videos. How it was a year until there were $100,000 in sales?
Yeah, it was really remarkable.
Okay.
So the growth was huge and tremendous, and in that year I had another baby, and so I was, and I have to say that the most important thing to me always was to be a stay-home mom. I had left teaching, I had left work to stay home with my children, and I really was wanting to do that, and so it became difficult. I mean, the more we grew, in terms of our sales and people wanting more product and things like that, the more difficult it became. And the first thing I did, and this was about 2 years into the Baby Einstein company, I decided, okay, there are really three things that I can't not do. I have to be a great mommy, and I have to be a great CEO of this company, and I also have to sort of manage my house. And I thought, okay, which of these things do I really want to give up? And guess what? It was laundry.
Ooh, so I'd like to give that up, too.
So my key hire, of course, was having a great housekeeper. So I got to the point where I could afford to have a housekeeper and have somebody to take care of that part of my life, which was wonderful. So, I got somebody to do that. And my kids were still little, and I was still home and working with them. And the truth is, a lot of what I did was stuff on the phone. I mean, I could be talking on the phone, and of course, in the background, my daughter would be yelling, Mommy, come wipe me, or something like that, because she was naughty. But I just figured out a way to balance it, and it was fantastic. To be able to stay home with my kids was wonderful.
Well, and that's really why you're such a fantastic guest for the Lifestyle CEO Show, because what we do is, empower women to be home managers and business owners without compromising either one.
Right.
One of the things you're talking about that you did was actually delegate something that was important that had to be done. And your children are 8 and 11 now, and I know that most of the women listening to this show are just, dinner's got to be ready at a certain time, and maybe there's someone that needs to be picked up from school, and then someone else is nursing, and the laundry has to be clean, and oops, we just ran out of diapers, and where are the wipes?
Yes.
That's the way it is in my household, and back then, it's typical. It's just a little bit hectic.
It was very hectic, and it was, and even at the time that when we finally sold the company, we still only had 8 employees. It wasn't as if our growth was phenomenal in terms of our monetary success, but we never had to hire a whole lot of people, which was really nice as well. So I never had to go to an office and work somewhere away from home, which was great. But I will say that the year that I sold, because a lot of people say, well, why did you sell? You were doing so well, and you were so successful. Why is it that you sold to Disney? And I will tell you, if I had to come up with one real answer, it was that it became overwhelming, and it had started to really take over my personal life, and in a way that I didn't like. I loved what I did, and I loved creating product, but the bigger that we grew, the more work there was, the more legal issues there were, the more kinds of things that I had never anticipated in terms of, competition coming into the marketplace, and, again, lawsuits coming up here and there, and trying to protect this and that, and it just got harried. And I think that my husband and I sat back after about that 4th year and said, this is getting crazy. And the reason that we had started this business and the reason that I chose to stop working was to be with my children. And this is now not achieving what I wanted it to anymore. Now it's taking over my life, and it's taking away from my family. And we have an opportunity at this point, right now in our success, to sell this for a lot of money. And we sat back and we said, what amount of money would be enough for us? And while I can't disclose that amount, although it's been printed a million times, I can tell you that we said, okay, how much is enough for us? And we came up with a great number, more than we ever thought we would ever have in our lifetime. And I think that we just decided we could be happy with that amount. And I think that's a problem that a lot of entrepreneurs make. They don't know when enough is enough. They think, well, you know what? If I kept it, maybe it will be worth $50 million. Maybe it will be worth $100 million. I should hang on and hang on and hang on. And for us, it wasn't worth it. Could we have made it a $50 million company? Maybe, probably. But you know what? At what expense? At the expense of not spending any time with my kids anymore, it wasn't worth it. That time goes so fast. It's fleeting, and you can never get that back. You can't buy it back. So for us, it was wonderful to be able to make that choice and be happy with it.
Right, and your situation is so exceptional and anomalous for a company like as large as Disney. And, of course, they're not the only company that large, but they certainly are what sounds like a perfect match for your videos. They're so heavy into entertaining children.
Right.
And what's interesting, too, is that for anyone who may think, well, Disney or somebody like that will never come along and purchase my idea, I think it's important, too, to remind everyone, and I know you will as well, that, everybody's story is different. And there are other options. I would imagine at some point you could have just hired somebody to be you. And continue, well, not you exactly, but certainly to continue to run the company and own it yourself, and it may never have gotten to the distribution point that Disney had, but certainly would have continued to generate revenue for you and your family.
Definitely. And I think that was, to be honest, for me, because I was so tied to it, I was so close to it. It really was my baby.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had to be a clean cut. For me to be a little bit involved is really difficult. You know, I mean, you spend so much time investing in your heart and your everything into something that to just have somebody else run it and sit around and kind of watch is really hard.
It's interesting. I was talking with someone the other day who had a significant amount of dollars invested into her company, and at one of the first meetings with the new investors, you know, there was this decision made to cut like one of her favorite products. And what do you mean? You can't cut that. They're like, well, you know, just look at the spreadsheets. It's like making $1 a year.
It is so hard. I mean,
but I love it so much.
Yeah, exactly. And even with Disney, I mean, there were other things that, of course, we had to think about, which was, okay, people are starting to sit up and take notice. Disney's interested. Viacom's interested. Several companies were really looking at Baby Einstein. Had we not sold to Disney, chances are they would have gone and made their own baby product. And with the Disney marketing prowess, you could just see us being run over. Now, maybe that's true and maybe it's not. I don't know. I feel like we had such a loyal customer base that, you know, but even so, even if we'd continued it and kept it ourselves, having that stress of having a company like Disney competing against little old you is pretty tough. So,
how great is it that you can look back on that time and see, you know, personally inside your family that it was the right decision, but also that it's brought you to, among other places that I'm sure you are today, but the one that I'm looking at right now is the safe side. I mean, did you ever think that you would, like, know John Walsh?
Absolutely not. It was... Yeah, it was fantastic. And it was actually as a result kind of Baby Einstein because John Walsh had a daily talk show, and he invited me to be a guest on his show. And I said, you know what, I'll come on the show if you guarantee that I'll have some time with John, separate and apart from the show, to talk to him about this idea that I have. So that was kind of my lead-in to meet John in the first place. So
there you go again, Julie.
Right. I know. You have to do these things. You have to have guts. You know, you really do. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to have guts, and you have to take the initiative, because if you don't, nothing will happen for you.
Let's explore that for a minute, if you would. I mean, I know, and of course, having just, again, come off the conference and met with women from all over the country, that's one of the questions I get most is like, you know, I'm shy, or I'm not a public speaker, or I've never been really good at, you know, positioning myself or expressing myself or saying how great me or my product are. Did you struggle with that? And if so, how did you overcome any of that?
Well, I think that what was wonderful in my case, and I recommend this to everybody, if you can find somebody in your life that you care about that really believes in your idea, it's a huge help. It's a tremendous help. I don't feel that I grew up entrepreneurial by nature. I wasn't a kid who had a paper route when I was in 3rd grade and, you know, was running my own lemonade stand when I was in 5th grade. You know, I wasn't that kid. I was actually a very quiet kid, sitting in the back of the room reading poetry. I was an English major. But I have a wonderful husband who really believed in my idea and who said, you know what, that is such a good idea. I think you can do it. I think you can make it work. Yes, 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 let me help you. You know, let's do this together. And that is remarkable. And if you can find somebody, whether it's your spouse or your friend or your hairdresser or the lady at the grocery store, you know, whoever it is, find someone who believes in your idea, because that kind of support is invaluable. I think that it will really help you find the confidence in yourself. And with the Safe Side, it was the same thing. The Safe Side is an involvement not only with John Walsh, but with my best friend who has been teaching self-defense to children for over 20 years. So
well, I definitely want to hear more about that. We're going to go into our final break. This is the Lifestyle CEO Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. We are here at the Lifestyle CEO Show with our guest, Julie Clark, founder of Baby Einstein and co-producer of the Safe Side CDs, helping children understand safety issues. And get such a huge, exciting thing that you're involved in now. Julie, tell me a little bit about how that started. I think you mentioned before that you insisted that you would be a guest on John Walsh's show only if you had some time to spend with him. And what happened after that?
Well, he and his wife, Hervé, met with me and loved the idea. Had been approached by a lot of people before, and but people who didn't necessarily really know how to make a video that would be entertaining for kids on this subject. Because it was critical that we make a safety video for children that they liked to watch. It couldn't be a talking head or a police officer telling them what to do. It had to be fun and engaging. And so John and Hervé felt that this was something that they'd like to get involved in, and so they gave kind of their blessing. We also got involved with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which John and Hervé helped to found over 25 years ago when Adam was murdered. And so we got involved with each other that way, and my friend Carol, who has been teaching self-defense for 20 years, worked on a beautiful script, which we then went on to produce, and has turned out to be incredibly successful. We're just about to go into filming of a second video on Internet safety. And information on all of these, I should just say, can be found at our website, which is at www.thesafeside.com.
Thesafeside.com, and people can buy the CDs there?
They can.
Okay,
they can.
good.
Or find information, great discussion questions for you to have with your children that have to do with safety issues, and really good stuff.
So some free resources, too.
Definitely.
No, because this is an area that parents, I mean, I watch, whatever the news TV shows are, and the Internet thing is just terrifying because you can't get around it, and obviously you want your children to be exposed to it and understand technology, but my goodness, it's terrifying. So I'm so excited to hear about the Internet video. When will that one be out?
That'll be out late summer. And sort of in time for back to school when kids are just starting to get on computers again in school. And incredibly important. It's the number one way now that predators are getting a hold of children, and it's really important to teach children how wonderful the web can be, but also how dangerous it can be, and why it's dangerous, and what they need to do to avoid these situations that can be scary.
Right. Now, you mentioned that on your new projects, your friend as well as your husband are working with you.
Yes.
Now, tell me a little bit about the dynamics of how different relationships evolve or change when you're actually involved in business with someone like your best friend and your husband. How do you manage those kinds of changes? It's kind of scary. I mean, I do it myself with my husband, and he works with me now on some of my projects that I started. Well, they're not mine anymore. They're ours. But I started them, and I think sometimes it's just, it's challenging to separate the business from the personal when they are so intertwined. I mean, we're working together to provide for our family, but at the same time, we can't mistake that for actual time together.
It's true, and it's very hard to separate your personal from your business when you work with your spouse. And I think that in my case, it's been fantastic. I have an amazing husband who is very easy to work with.
Oh, good for
I'm probably much harder to work with than he is. But so that's been very helpful. But I will say that there are certainly times where you may have a disagreement at work, and it can certainly carry over into your dinner conversation or lack of conversation, depending on how serious the argument was.
Probably better to make it lack of, right?
Exactly.
You don't say anything.
But you know what I found is very, very useful for me? It's to try to remember what my strengths are, and this is true with people you hire or people you work with, whether they're related to you or not. I think that, my strengths tend to be with creative and with, actually figuring out what's going to make kids laugh and things like that. My husband's strengths are in graphic design, accounting. He's great at doing the money stuff and the legal stuff. But both of us have a bent toward the creative, and that's where it can get very difficult. Because if you're a creative person, you don't like people telling you what to do.
Right.
So it can be very hard. But when I step back and I say, okay, we're going into the school market, for example, with the Safe Side. I don't really know anything about the school market. He does. He knows more about it than I do. And I don't really agree with what he's doing, but I have to just step back and recognize that he knows more than I do. He knows how I feel about it, but I'm going to let him make the decision. And
right, and do you really want the responsibility of making the decision anyway?
Exactly.
Follow up on it. I keep forgetting to tell everyone because I'm such a question hog. I'm keeping you all to myself, and that's not fair. We have a toll-free number where if you're listening and you have any questions for Julie, you can call 800-773-0355. And if you do, you will win a copy of her new Stranger Safety CD to share with your kids. And Julie, I think you said it was perfect for 5, 6-year-olds and up?
Yeah, actually about ages, 4 or 5 to about 10.
Oh, okay,
great for elementary school age kids.
Good, that's right. So 800-773-0355. In the meantime, I'm going to keep asking my own questions. When you actually got into working with John and starting up something new, and after the sale to Disney had taken place, did you have any time after the sale when you sort of felt like you had to kind of wean yourself away from the Baby Einstein brand since you were so intimately involved in it? I mean, if it hadn't been for you, it would not have existed, and that to me is such an incredibly powerful thought, because I know so many listeners and women that I talk to, because they don't know where their business is going to take them, sometimes they're afraid to take the risk, they're afraid to invest the time, and because resources is not just money, it's also time, and for most moms, it's usually more time than money, because we don't have a lot of money, a lot of time. And so was it scary to, let it go and move on to something else, or were you just thankful that you had opportunities that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't pursued the Baby Einstein idea?
It was terribly hard to let it go. I won't lie. It was very, very hard, and it was. It wasn't as if people have used the analogy. Oh, it was sort of like your baby growing up and moving away. It was more like my baby grew up and moved to like another planet. That's how different it was. Once Baby Einstein went from being a tiny little grassroots company to belonging to this enormous media conglomerate like the Walt Disney Company, where there were hundreds of people involved in making a decision about my little brand, and where I couldn't just call up and say, hey, you know what, I've got a great idea, let's make a video on geography, and then just go do it. There was no more of that. It was now it had to go through this group, and they had to run focus groups, and and it was so different. It was so foreign to me that I didn't understand it for a while. And I would say it took me about a year. I had about a year of real growing pains of understanding that this company, the Walt Disney Company, didn't really want me involved anymore. Thank you very much. Nice that you made it. Happy you were there. Now it's ours. Bye-bye.
Didn't we just pay you to go away?
Yeah, that's what my husband says. He's like, look, they paid you to not care about it anymore. And I said, no, I still care about it. I can't help it. But, I think that it was very therapeutic for me to then get involved in something else that was my own. And, having the safe side and being able to do something that I feel equally passionate about has been incredibly healing. And I'm very proud of what Disney's done with Baby Einstein, so don't get me wrong. I feel that, where they've taken it, I never could have taken it because I don't have that kind of corporate prowess. So, the Baby Einstein Company is now more than $1 billion company. It's unbelievable, and it's created an entirely new medium that never existed before. There are all kinds of companies now making baby videos that never happened before I started Baby Einstein. So I'm very, very proud of that. But I also really needed to learn that it's not mine anymore. So that was a tough lesson.
What a powerful, powerful testimony that is for women in business today, that you as a stay-at-home mom and a former teacher could create something, from scratch by yourself and end up just really taking it to the next level and then handing it off to someone else. We have got a caller. Merle is on line 3. Merle, are you there?
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the Lifestyle CEO Show. What's your question or comment for Julie?
Oh, one, you're amazing. Both of you, actually.
You.
And two, I wondered how you feel about a business plan, because I have an idea and I've been stopped sort of by the business plan.
Well, here's the really funny thing. I never had a business plan.
Okay.
When I came up with the idea for Baby Einstein, I ran it by a friend of mine, and he's like, oh, that's great. What a good idea. Where's your business plan? And I go, what's a business plan?
Okay.
What is a business plan? I don't know. So I actually never had a business plan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that's the right way to go, but I will tell you that I've been interviewed for a lot of various books on entrepreneurs, and I have been told by these interviewers that a lot of entrepreneurs never write a business plan.
Okay.
And if you need an investor, you need to get a lot of investment people involved. You may need a business plan to show them what your future, holds. But if you're doing something kind of on your own, I just don't think you need one.
Okay.
Merle, I have to thank you for that question. I hope that was helpful. And Julie, I thank you so much for that answer. I was reading Martha Stewart's new book, and she talked about the importance of a business plan, maybe 5 or 6 pages, and then the next page was, I didn't have a business plan when I started my business. And I think it's like a dirty little secret among entrepreneurs who haven't gotten to where they want to be, that they don't have a business plan. And I think that stops a lot of women from moving forward with their idea. They think they have to have this leather-bound 50-page thing, and they really don't. So, goodness, thank you so much for saying that. We talked a lot about that at the conference. I want to thank you so much, Julie, for being on our show. You are such an inspiration to women everywhere. As Merle said, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so fun to be here.
Well, I consider it a huge blessing to have you on the show. I want to remind everyone that you can go to Julie's website at asafeside.com and get her CD, Stranger Safety, produced in conjunction with the host of America's Most Wanted, John Walsh. And you can also, of course, pick up your Baby Einstein products at one of a million places throughout the world these days. And thank you, Julie, for these productions. We'll all be looking for the Internet shows and all the other exciting things that you're going to be sharing with us as you grow. Thank you for joining us. And for all of you out there, I want to let you know we've got some great guests coming up. Check the website at lifestyleceo.com to learn how you can meet Paula Dean from the Food Network and Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup from the Soul. This is Donna Maria. Go out there, break all the rules, build your own corporate ladder, and create the life you love. Till next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
You're listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com.